I haven't pushed record.
That sounded like someone.
Yeah.
I thought we were going with wine time.
Yeah, but I'm in netball finals, so I can't have a drink of wine on a Friday night.
Oh, I don't plan on drinking. I just liked wine time, like Kath and Kim.
Oh, okay. We can call it one. I'll rebrand.
Yeah. Well, Sister Chat's good too.
So
we are going to discuss. Well, it was going to be chapters 2 and 3.
yes,
But today I caught up on the how to use the book at the start.
yes.
Like you've done quite an extensive preface.
I should just explain what we're actually doing here.
Yeah.
So I've got Jane here to have a chat every Friday night, wine time we're calling it, in celebration of my upcoming launch of my book, Like a Mother. So we are breaking down the chapters. I've given Jane an early access to the manuscript, and I've said, Jane, read chapter 2 and 3, and that's what we can talk about. And we're going to do this every month, every Friday until the book is dropped, which is going to be the first week of November, if all things sort of go well. So I'm in the final read of my read through at the moment. So
well, and you're launching then too.
And
talk about your launch, because that's exciting.
So now that we actually have dates and it's sort of within that 90-day countdown, like the marketing and like things are just starting to get real, which is really exciting. So I'm planning to have a really big celebration and a big party here in Bendigo to celebrate the launch of this. And that is happening on the 2nd of December with my friends at the Boardwalk Bendigo. And tickets are available to those on my mailing list at the moment.
Okay,
because
if
they're
want to
limited.
get on
Yes,
your mailing list,
because there's limited seating with who I can. So I'm just that's where it's available at the moment. So pop in, go to the link in my bio, sign up to my mailing list to get your hands on a ticket at this stage. So. We're already organising
we're
outfits.
Outfit planning. I'm so excited for
Outfit
it.
planning, like there is no holding back. Like I've been working on this for a really long time.
Yeah. For people who come, what do they get?
For people who come, you get the top-notch champagne. I'm paying for the highest champagne. You're going to get the best food package there at the Boardwalk, which, as you know, is delish. You're going to get live entertainment. I won't spill the details, but it does include a sexy man over there to my right. I'm here at Jane's house, hint, hint. And it also includes you a little bit, Jane.
Yes, well, I have got the call up to be the MC, which is a really smart decision on your behalf.
Yeah.
And I'm like so excited for it. I'm totally outfit planning.
That's just the best thing. Like I'm thinking like leather tight mini with like really big black points and like just like really like professional, but also like edgy and cool.
Well, I'm sort of thinking, like Shona Joy at the minute has little vests and the slack pants, like sort of a really nice balance of
corporate,
yeah, like corporate, like business, but party.
Yes. That's
okay.
the vibe.
We should talk about your book now, because otherwise we'll be here for ages.
Yeah.
So last week was sort of the introduction. But I still actually was fit. Like I didn't realize I was still reading the introduction today. Like there's heaps at the start.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I actually didn't used to read introductions and prefaces of books until I wrote mine. And then I'm like, I've actually put some really juicy stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I had this discussion with my publishers. I was like, I am usually one to skip the intro and preface for books. Like, how do I
thought it was preface.
Oh, is it?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyway, so there's actually so you're making me look stupid. And so in in the first chapter, my publishers suggested let's put a line in here that says, like, because I refer to things in the preface and the introduction, they gave me a line to put in that said, in brackets, by the way, if you haven't read the intro, go back. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, but I read that whole intro and I was like, I could quite easily be satisfied with what I've read and learned already. So the intro was really juicy. So I only just finished the intro today and then read chapter 1. so I didn't get further enough, and I've got heaps to talk about.
Okay.
So we might not get through it all because there was so much.
All right, and we'll try and keep this for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah. So we should stop talking about our outfits then.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a revelation through this. Do you want to know my revelation? Was that it's not like a book in terms of here's tips and tricks.
Yeah.
It's not like here's what can work.
Yeah.
And necessarily.
Is that what you thought it was going to be?
No, not necessarily, but it's not like, oh, here's some advice, here's how you can apply it. It's not like that because, well, one, advice works for sometimes and not others and whatever. It's not like information overload on do this, do that. What your book is like you're offering a new way of thinking.
Oh,
I know. Which when I had that revelation, I was like, this is actually the new way of thinking, and the shift is something that I can carry on with me through my mothering.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to the tips and tricks that they sometimes work, they sometimes don't. It's information overload. This was like a different way of framing your thinking.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is actually going to serve me more than what little tricks would.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I didn't go out to say this is what you should do and here's how you can do it.
Yeah.
Or how to do the old way better and more efficient. It's like a brand new paradigm is what I'm sort of calling it.
Yes, I do have a note here to talk about the new paradigm because that was really interesting to me. But in the beginning, you sort of say how you're going to incorporate a little bit of science.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Well, the science for me was the beginning of my journey because that was my default, which we sort of spoke about last week, was like, okay, I'm a new mum. I'm navigating all these different changes. I'm confused with who I am. I'm confused with what's happening. I'm experiencing all these new emotions that I've never felt before. And prior to that, I made a living sort of teaching positive psychology and doing all these mindful practices and mindsets and affirmations, and I made a living out of it.
The tips and tricks, I suppose.
And so, but I was left feeling so stuck because that was what I knew, and the tools in my tool bag wasn't enough to give me sustained shifts in and results in how I wanted to feel and how I was feeling. So I was feeling, really confused. I was feeling quite like sad and depressed, and I was feeling lonely. And if ever I would try to reach out and get support, it would come across as like attacking or as blaming. And you would say to me all the time, and Zach would say to me, go and do something that you love. And I would just roll my eyes and say, if I knew what I wanted to do to feel better, I would do it. And I would just be like, that's just useless. Or, I can't, I'm breastfeeding. So how am I supposed to leave the house? Or, it just felt like more hassle than what it was worth because it took so much organizing, so much forward planning and thinking. And because I was literally changing, my identity was changing, I didn't know what I needed anymore. I didn't know my needs. I didn't know what the things that I used to do to feel good before weren't working anymore. So it was like, you tell me to go and do something that I love, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah. And reading your book, I'm like, holy shit, was I there enough for you? Because I was like,
I hope I'm not like a real depresso.
Oh, no, but like reading this, I was like, whoa, like this is huge what you were going through. And you articulate it so well. And I'm like, I didn't realize from the outside.
Yeah, that's
to
a
the
good
extent
point.
Of your internal turmoil.
Yeah, so to speak.
Well,
that's so true. You just never really know what people were sort of going through.
You don't.
And there's so much mixed in with that. Like, in the beginning of it, I didn't have the language to say how I was feeling. I didn't know myself, so I couldn't explain it. And you sort of said, like, even when I did try and explain it, it wasn't coming across the way that I wanted to. And often me trying to reach out actually pushed me further away from the people that I love, like you and Zach. And it was just a really confusing navigating time. And also trying to express it there was that, oh, I'm not doing a good enough job, or I'm not capable of doing it myself. It was sort of, I was stuck in the mindset of I can do it myself, and I don't.
You actually fall back into those habits sometimes.
Yes,
now.
I've still got them.
Like not pointing the finger or anything.
Oh fuck!
But I guess we all have the tendency to slip into old unhelpful habits, no matter what they are.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So you talk a lot about generational parenting styles.
Oh yeah.
Good and one. I've really I found that really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How the way that we used to, our parents and their grandparents parented, and how you are wanting to create a new paradigm.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how we sometimes default and we parent the way we were parented.
Yes.
And we catch ourselves saying things like what our father or our mum said.
Yeah.
And I have had a moment like that where I'm driving the car and singing, and the kids would be like, "Mum, stop singing." And I'm like, "Kids, this is when music was music."
That's what Dad would say.
So we'd be like, "Oh, Dad, change the channel about this is when music was music." None of this stuff now.
When you're driving in your own car, then you can choose your own music.
Like, "Kids, this is when music," and I just started laughing. But jokes aside, can you talk a little, make we could talk about it for ages, but just make a quick comparison.
Yeah.
To the generational parenting and how you're wanting to sort of make shifts. I mean, the world was different.
Yeah.
And we can get into all of that.
Yeah.
But just make a quick comparison for us.
Comparison
of the old
paradigm and the new paradigm.
Yeah.
So the old paradigm that I sort of explain is the old way of the way that we sort of see motherhood, and it's very much based on what we do for our parents. And if we think about how our grandparents went to school, they were to be seen, not to be heard. They got the strap if they went anywhere outside of the box. And this isn't a conversation about the educational system, but you can see how we as mothers now have this huge responsibility to get out of the way of our children's upbringing. And I really feel like our children are gifts for the universe, and they are bringing in these codes that we've never seen before to birth this new life. And all we have to do as mothers is get out of the way and let them be who they are, because our children are going to be the leaders of this new world, and they're not here to fix the old one. They're going to birth a whole new way of us to live. And it is our job to, we're not going to be like, stop crying, put your emotions away. We're going to support them. We're going to set really clear boundaries for them, and we're just going to let them be who they are, because we're not living in that old world anymore. And we need more than ever in the world that we're living in right now, new leaders and a new way of living. And I don't mean like leaders in, government and yes, but everyone's a leader, and they, just here to express your true self, because everyone is born with a gift. Everyone is born with a gift. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Like, there are no mistakes in Mother Nature. There are no mistakes in the universe. You were born at this very specific time, at this very specific place. You chose your parents. You chose to come in. Your spirit chose to come in at this particular time because you have a gift to change the world. And whether that be a small drop in the pond that ripples, or whether you're here to do massive things that we can all see. And it's just our role as parents to get out of the way. But that takes a lot of hard work, because we tend to parent in the same ways that our parents parented. Like it's just sort of passed on. But of course there are really obvious ways, like you might have had an absent father or perhaps an abusive mother or whatever, and you make really big changes to say, I'm not doing that. But then there are subconscious ways that we inherit, ways that we parent as well, and it might come out in subtle patterns of thought, or the way that we see our body, or things like that. So it takes a lot of courage to say, I'm actually going to turn inward. I'm going to do my own inner work and my own inner healing, so that I can stop projecting my way of my experience and my way of seeing the world onto my children, and I want them to be who they're
are a reflection of us.
Yes.
And like that can be hard.
Yeah.
Because if they're not behaving or acting the way that you want them to, it can be like, oh, that's a reflection of me, and it's not.
Yes.
Like you sort of got to get out of your own way a little bit in order to let them be who they are.
Yeah.
And I remember Mum saying, like, you don't belong to me.
Yeah.
You're my children, but I can't
You're
make
not mine,
you.
you're not my property.
Yeah, and I still remember that because I was like, whoa, that is like
deep.
Yeah, like that's huge. Because it's not like, oh, I'm your parent, I tell you what to do.
You do what I say, yeah.
It's like, yeah,
yes.
aren't we blessed?
We are
with
blessed.
Our mum.
100%.
And then you sort of touched on boundaries a little bit there, and that could be a whole other podcast on its own is talking about boundaries.
Yes.
Why are you smiling?
Because we've had some issues with some lack of boundaries, more so on my behalf.
I've had to put up some healthy boundaries, otherwise you beat my doorstep every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We could unravel that, but
do we really want to pull at that thread?
We probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But we're at a good. We're
pretty good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
But I just liked how you said that, like, kids just have those boundaries innately because they don't think about pleasing people. They don't think about trying to do the right thing. They just, if they want to say no, they say no. If they want to say yes, they say yes. And like that's sort of leading me into where was that leading me into? About how our kids can be our biggest teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want me to dive into that?
You can not so much the boundaries, but how that lead me.
You're a really good interviewer.
Yeah. How that how our kids are our biggest teachers.
Well, I think that our teachers are the biggest spiritual beings that there are because
kids are.
Kids are because they live completely connected to themselves.
Yeah.
They say no when they want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if they upset anyone or hurt anyone. They are fully connected with their instincts. It's a full body yes or it's a full body no, and they're completely themselves.
Yeah.
So I think they're a really great role models in a way. We can learn a lot by watching them. And not to say, I got hit in the head yesterday with a metal car at point blank range. Like, not to say that we can't set healthy boundaries for them.
You to say about setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah. No, like he can't throw a car at me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's a full body yes, sweetie. Like, you can throw your car at me. But I can guide him to be angry in a way that he doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Like, he throws, we're working on getting him to throw pillows or like scream into a pillow.
Yeah.
To
still feel it.
To still be you and to still feel that. But I also just really want to make it clear that this isn't a book about how to parent and it's not a book about how to raise your kids. It's a book about how to use your motherhood experience to become your true self and to expand your knowledge of yourself and to be who you're meant to be.
Yeah, just as we're trying to encourage our kids to.
Yeah, I had my eyebrows waxed today, so
I was actually looking at them.
Yeah, but you can see like it's sort of taken
off. Oh no, I was going to say they look really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know, because I'm fussy about your eyebrows. You're getting there.
Oh,
okay, the last topic that because we are getting to that 20-minute mark.
Are we really?
Was this is chapter 1 now.
Okay.
And you were talking about surrendering and how surrendering is like the new hustle. And that's the new paradigm is instead of my mothering is on how much I do for you.
Yeah.
It's more of being.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Yes. So like the old paradigm is very much focused on what you do for your kids and what you achieve and how much you tick off. And if you think about how perhaps our grandma parented in our, the older generation, it was very much put food on the table, keep the house clean, And if you were having a hard time, you weren't to show it. You were just to get on and do what you were meant to do. And now in this world that we're living in, I think that we have preached for long enough that we have to be responsible and productive all the time. Like, that is just so tired. But it's hard because our self-worth is very tightly entangled with how much we achieve and how much we get done and do. So, you know, I was using dinner time as a bit of a signpost for me to see this old paradigm and me shifting from the old to the new. So if you think about dinner time with 2 little kids, it's a stressful experience. You are trying to cook. In my house, it's a stressful experience. So you have toddlers pulling at your feet. You're trying to cook a meal. They're hungry because you've been starving them for the last hour, so they actually eat their dinner without throwing it on the floor. You don't know what that's like. And no judgment there. You just got kids that eat really well. Good. And then, you know, I'm stressed and we sit down to eat. There's food thrown. I'm upset because I've tried to cook something healthy for them, and it's just a stressful experience. And if you imagine my husband walking in the door at that time, he could cut the tension with a knife. He would open the door and it'd be like, whew, it's stress soup in here. And then I'm focusing very much on what I'm doing. I'm focusing on the food that I'm cooking. I'm focusing on all trying to sit up at the table. I'm focusing on no food trying to be thrown. It was very much what I was doing and what I was providing. And the way that I shifted that focus was, who am I being in that moment? Who am I being? What is my energy in that room? I am stressed. I'm bringing stress, worn out energy. What am I implicitly teaching my children? I'm teaching them that, you know, when you love someone, it doesn't matter who you are or what you are. It's what you do and what you bring to the relationship. And I'm teaching them that to love someone, your needs don't matter. And if you're burnt out, it doesn't matter. Keep giving. And I thought, that's not my vibe. And so the way that I shifted it to who I was, I want to be. Think of your memory of Grandma Joy.
Yeah.
She would have this beautiful floral dress on. She's in the kitchen. She's singing as she cooks. And it was, you know, we just had this beautiful memory of it. I don't know what she was cooking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was a memory and a feeling. And I thought, I want to give that to my kids. So instead, I would pour myself a fizzy in like a wine glass. I would have ice. Yeah, Arbonne. And like I would have ice. I would put music on and I would dance, and it wouldn't matter what I was cooking. If food food doesn't always get eaten, it's still getting thrown, but we're having a good time together anyway. And I just feel like it's sort of more about who I am and who I want my children to experience, how I want them to feel, rather than what I was actually doing. So that dinner time was a really great signpost for me to check in to where I was focusing my energy, and if I wanted to change it. And music helps me do that. Fizzy helps me do that.
Just something you can associate with.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And it's a nice reminder for being rather than doing, because it is a trap that's easily fallen into.
Well, we've got so much to do.
Yeah.
We've got so much to do. And not to say that, you know, we are going to need to be in doing mode some of the time. Like, have you ever tried to get a toddler in a car seat? Like, you are going to have to do some doing. But our society, our culture very much idolizes the doing and so it's up to us to.
But when you're a mum too, like you're not bringing in the income necessarily.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes your worth, it's easy to go, oh, well, I'm not contributing enough, so I better make sure that the beds are made and the washing's done.
Yes.
So you get stuck in that loop of, I'm not contributing in the way that I think I should.
Or the way that you used to. You used to earn an income, and then when you're at home, this is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I shouldn't get into it.
When you're at home and you don't earn the money that you used to, and that's a whole other
but like
mind.
just the associating with what you get done with your worth.
Yes. Like we get paid for our efforts, don't we, when we work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably should wrap it up because that's we started a couple of minutes late. But I do have one question.
Yes.
To finish on.
Oh, what are you getting your computer out
Because
for?
I'm quoting you.
Oh,
I'm curious. Oh, where'd it go? I had it here a second ago. Here we go. Now, in the book,
she's got a computer.
He said, there's like, you sort of talk about comparison.
You highlighted the bits that you mentioned in.
Yes, I highlighted this. Well, that was going to be my question. You said one particularly ugly way this comparisonitis comes up is when we measure ourselves against other mothers. Personally, I feel my days are full to the brim just keeping my kids alive.
Yes.
It can be hard not to compare myself with my sister,
yeah,
or the Instagram influencers who feed their kids organic homemade snacks while reading to them in French and listening to classical music in the car with lavender oil mist out of the event. My question was what sister are you referring
to? You've got tiny teddies and LCMs in your...
I don't have LCMs anymore. I've stopped getting those.
Oh, okay. No judgments, by the way. I was comparing myself in that situation to a little bit of both of you because your kids eat food. Mine don't eat food. And Rachel's really good at cooking dinner. She is good at
cooking, yeah.
I'm not good at cooking.
I feel like she'd do the classical music in that lavender as well.
And she's definitely the lavender oil. But that was sort of like the Instagram influencers vibe.
Yeah,
we sort of doing that.
All right, well, it's just cute.
Yeah,
just said sister, and I'm like, I just had to clarify for all you readers out there. But I'm happy with that. I'm excited to read the next chapter.
So that was just the intro. That
was finishing the intro and chapter 1.
Yes, all right. So next week will be
like chapter 2 and 3.
Yeah. That sounds good. Well, thanks everyone for jumping on live and having a chat. There was actually a bit of a some comments. Mandy says, my kids have been my greatest teachers. The challenge in seeing what was my own lived experience and not projecting it onto theirs is a beautiful dance. Oh, yeah. Juicy.
You're a wise woman.
Okay, so set your alarms. We're doing this again next Friday.
One time or sister chat?
We have to wait till I finish. Oh,
you
yeah.
You don't have to drink wine to call it wine time.
I think you do.
Oh. Okay. We could get an alcoholic. We better go.
All right. How do I end this?
Oh, just at the right time.